Yo, what up, everyone out there in YouTube land? Grim's on the beat here. So, today I got some more quick tips for all of you beginner mixing engineers out there. Today's tips have more to do with workflow and efficiency than any mixing techniques. So, first of all, whatever DAW you use, stick with it. Learn it like the back of your hand. Nowadays, pretty much all the DAWs do everything you need to do. They all do the same stuff. It's just some of them, in my opinion, do certain things better than others. So it doesn't really matter what you use, it's just what works best for you. So pick a DAW and stick to it. Now, if you mix and make beats, using two different DAWs is completely different. Because one DAW might handle something like MIDI better than another, and a different DAW might handle audio processing better. So you might find it easier to make beats from a workflow standpoint in one DAW, and then easier to mix in another from a workflow standpoint. So that's understandable, but today I'm talking about mixing. For mixing, pick your DAW, stick to it. I mean, even if you're a beat maker, pick a DAW, stick to it, and learn whatever you're using. Second tip is learn the fundamentals. Okay? Before you go and add all kinds of plugins to your tracks, like compressors and EQs and reverbs, delays, and all that fun stuff, learn why they are used. Learn how to use them. Learn when and why you use a compressor, when and why you use an EQ, and all the other tools of the trade. Understanding the tools and why they're used will let you know when it's appropriate to use it, because you don't need to use a compressor or an EQ on every single track. Sometimes something sounds good the way it is, and it's really best just to leave it alone. Just mess with the volume. So yeah, number 2 is learn the fundamentals. And another tip 3, is going to be figure out a workflow that works for you, that helps you get more done quickly. This is where tip 1, learning your DAW, helps. For me, when I start a mix, after listening to all the tracks and listening to the reference track, I like to organize my session, which is tip 4. Keep your session organized. You know me, I'll go through the tracks, I will label them by what is on the track. Like if one track is a kick, I'll label it kick. If another is a snare, I'll label it snare, etc. I will also color each track depending on what they are. Like all the drum tracks will be one color, bass will be another, melodies will be another color. I'll have a different color for my buses and a different color for my master fader. I also organize the specific tracks in a certain order. Like at first I start with drums, then bass, then melodies, then my buses and my master. And because I've been doing this for so long, when I go and reach for a track, I don't have to spend a whole bunch of time searching through all the tracks trying to figure out what is what. They're typically in the same area. Some sessions have more tracks than others, and I might have to look through certain sections, but I can typically find what track I'm looking for easier because I look at the color and I know, okay, it's going to be in this area. And back to the previous tip, which is workflow. After I organize my session, I go and I tend to gain stage my tracks, which is setting the audio on the track to a certain level. That way, nothing is clipping in the, and it shouldn't be clipping in its own channel to begin with, but also none of your buses, like your mix bus or your master fader, are clipping, or your drum bus isn't clipping. That way, you can just go through and do a static mix, pull down faders, and or pull faders up and down, get a balance. That's what a static mix is. You mess with the faders, get the volume balanced, mess with the panning, get stuff in the space you want. And after you got a basic mix done, you can go and add your plugins and do some sculpting, add your effects like reverb and delay. And, you know, automation. But I find doing a static mix really gets a lot of the work out of the way quickly, because also don't take too much time to think about, oh, what volume level should this be at. Use your ears, use your gut, and just make moves quickly. Be decisive. Now, the next tip, by the way, I kind of apologize for jumping around back and forth between tips because some of them are sort of connected to others. But the next tip is sort of connected to the second one. I think it's the second one, which is learn the fundamentals, learn what the plugins do. But the next tip is for you beginners out there. I know there's a lot of really cool third-party plugins out there that you can buy. Chances are your DAW has a lot of really great stock plugins that will get a mix done and get you a great professional sounding mix, and you don't have to pay extra money for them. They already come with your DAW. Before you go buying a bunch of plugins, learn the ones in your DAW. It's also a good way to learn what the plugins do and how to use them. Does it really make sense to go and buy a bunch of third-party compressor or EQ plugins if you don't know how to use a compressor or an EQ in the first place? Just saying. Um, let's see. Anything else before I go? Yeah, listen to the reference mix. Listen to everything, all the individual elements after you listen to the reference mix. The reference mix will usually give you an idea of what the artist is going for. Your job is basically to get it more polished. And one thing that can help with that, next tip, which plenty of other people will probably give you a lot of these same tips, use reference tracks. If you know of a song that sounds similar to the song that you are mixing, pull it in, game stage it to the overall level that you would like your mix to end up at, because chances are the track you're using as a reference track will be mastered, so it's going to be louder than your mix is. So you want to pull the level down a little bit to level match it with whatever you're working on. Also take into consideration it is mastered, and there is more to mastering than just bringing the level up. But still a good way to get an idea of where to go next with your track. Now, don't just go and copy whatever track you're using as a reference, but get inspiration from it. Figure out, okay, I like the way the drums and bass are mixed on this. I like the way it's balanced. Alrighty. I think that's about it for this one. Alright, guys. I'm out of here. Have a good day.